Thanks to Omaze for sponsoring today's video. Visit omaze.com/AndySlide to learn more. One of the best things about buying a Tesla is that it's so easy. You can do it within 1 minute from your phone, and then you go pick it up a few weeks later. The only bad thing about that, especially since COVID hit, is that there's really nobody to walk you through how to use the car, since this is basically a computer on wheels, and it can be kind of intimidating for people who don't know. So I thought this would be an awesome video to do the ultimate Tesla owner's guide video, so you can learn everything you need to know of how to own and use and drive a Tesla, especially the Model 3 and Model Y. This video will be broken down in sections, so you can click to different sections, click back and forth, and also leave links to some of the best accessories that I'll talk about throughout this video. I'm also going to give you extra tips if you're looking to buy a Tesla and own a Tesla yourself. So let's get right into it, starting with the exterior. Let's start off with the basics. When you first get the Tesla, it comes with 2 key cards, and I keep one in my wallet at all times, and I put another one in a secure location. And the way this works is you just hold the key card up to the B pillar, and you can see it just unlocked the car, and now I can enter the car. Same thing works for locking the car. Hold it up and it locks the car. So that's how you unlock and lock the car using the key card, but this is just a backup method. The real method, once you get your car, you can set up your phone as the key to your car using Bluetooth. So you'll have the Tesla app installed, and once you have that set up, this becomes your main key. And then once you have Bluetooth enabled on your phone, your car will actually lock and unlock as you walk away from it and walk up to it. So I have my phone in the proximity of the car. As long as I have it in my pocket, it's ready. It's basically unlocked right now. All I gotta do is open the door. So to open the door, it's one-handed, by the way. Put the thumb on the thick part, push in. When I close the door, the car is unlocked. As I walk away, you'll see it lock. You'll also notice when I open the door, the window comes down just a little bit. That's because this door is a frameless door. There's no frame on top. So that is normal. If you see that happening, it's totally normal, and it'll automatically go back up when I close it. This is one of the awesome things about a Tesla as well, the cameras for autopilot. There are 8 total exterior cameras around the car. Here's one of them on the side. There are 2 of these, one on each side. There are 2 forward-facing side cameras. There's 1 rear-facing camera on the trunk. And there are 3 cameras facing forward on the windshield. There is a narrow, wide, and main camera. This right here is your charge port door. So your charging port hides behind here, and there are a few different ways to open the charge port door. First, you can do it manually. You can actually tap on it like this, and it will open. And you can actually just tap on it, give it a little nudge down, and it will automatically close again. Most of the time, you'll just use the button on your charging cable, because if you press that button, it'll automatically open and close the door. And when you unplug the cable, after a few seconds, the charge port door should close automatically by itself. You can also open and close it from the touchscreen. These right here are my Aero wheel caps. So depending on your model of Tesla, you may have these. These pop right off very easily and pop right back on very easily as well. And what these do is these improve aerodynamics. So a lot of people don't like the look of them, but they make your drive better by increasing your range just slightly. So if you're new to Tesla or electric vehicles, this might be new to you. This is the front trunk. There's no engine. This is actually more storage. It's the frunk, as we like to call it. And there are a couple of different ways to open this. Unfortunately, there's nothing on the front. You have to open it from the touchscreen or from the phone. If you have the Tesla app, just open it up. There's a quick control button on the front of the app there, and it just pops the latch here. And then from here, you just raise it up. And this is just a nice little extra storage area. And the way to close this is kind of weird. You have to actually gently let it down. Tesla recommends you put 2 hands on either side of the Tesla logo and press down. I myself have had luck just pressing down pretty firmly on the Tesla logo. That's totally up to you if you want to try that, but the recommended way is to use 2 hands. The regular trunk has a button that you press to unlock it, so you can press that button on the back of that, or you can do it from the touchscreen or the app as well. Now, of course, the Model Y has more storage than the Model 3, but the Model 3 has pretty good amount of storage in the back as well. And then it also has this under storage area, and this is actually an aftermarket trunk mat, so highly recommend getting one of these. I'll leave a link to this in the description below. You can get 10% off if you use my link, and you want to get something like this because it protects the felt, the original felt cover that comes with the car. And then if you lift this up, I actually have a Tasmanian cooler that fits right in this bottom storage area. But if you don't have a cooler like this actually gives you more space to just store more things here in the bottom area, which is really convenient. I'll leave a link to that cooler as well in the description below. And then if you have a newer refresh model of the Model 3, and if you of course have any model of the Model Y, you have an automatic trunk. So there should be a button up here to press and it will automatically close the trunk. Now, one thing about EVs and Teslas in general is that it doesn't really have the traditional grille as you'd see in a normal gasoline car. So it's pretty flat up front. it might look a little weird to you, but the one thing about this is that it attracts bugs. So it kills bugs like crazy if you're driving at night especially, and you want to kind of protect this paint. So I highly recommend getting a paint protection film for the front. I got my entire front, including the full hood, wrapped in a clear paint protection film. I don't have to worry about rock chips from driving on the highway. All this is protected by this clear film that I have installed. So if you want a new Tesla, today's sponsor Omaze is giving away some amazing prizes, including a Florida dream house or $1 million cash. But by entering for the chance to win those main prizes, you'll also be automatically entered for the chance to win one of over 3,000 additional prizes, including a brand new Tesla Model 3 with taxes and shipping covered. It's a dual motor all-wheel drive Model 3 with 20-inch performance wheels, sporting the beautiful minimalist interior with world-class technology, including the 15-inch touchscreen display and 300 miles of range. For this giveaway, Omaze has teamed up with Children's Miracle Network hospitals who will use funds from this giveaway to help build out and enhance a state-of-the-art epilepsy monitoring unit at Orlando Health Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children. This specialized unit is devoted to providing life-changing care to kids of all ages for a broad range of neurological disorders. If you want to potentially win a new Tesla Model 3 while also supporting a great cause, go to omaze.com/AndySly, donate, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. Okay, let's quickly go over the physical controls that you have at your disposal when you're in the driver's seat, because honestly, there aren't that many. This is a very touchscreen centric car. Let's start with the windows and door buttons. So this button at the top right here, the very top button, it will open and unlatch the door electronically. So when you press on it, the door will electronically pop out, and then you can just exit the car. There is actually a manual latch right here, and that's only to be used during emergency situations when you don't have power to the car. So if you open this manual latch, it will open the door, but you'll get a little error saying manual door release used may cause damage to window trim. Of course, you have the 4 window buttons, window controls, and it controls all 4 windows on the car. And it has these half presses and full press. So if you full press down, the window will go down automatically all the way, and same all the way up. If you pull all the way back up on the window button, it goes up automatically by itself. If you half press it, you can just lower the window in increments, same as going up. If you just half press up, and you can do that for all 4 windows. Now let's look at the driver controls for the steering wheel. You basically have one stalk on either side, and you have one scroll wheel button on either side of the steering wheel. So let's talk about the left-hand stalk. You can pull back to do a quick flash of your brights, or you can press forward and turn your brights on or off. And of course, if you turn your turn signal all the way to the top, it turns your right turn signal on, and then full press on the bottom turns your left turn signal on indefinitely. But you also have these little half presses for the turn signal. So if you just do a tap, a half press, it will enable the turn signal blinker 3 times, 3 blinks. And it's used for if you're just changing lanes. And then the last control on the left stalk is the button that you push in, and that will turn on your windshield wiper. So if you do just a single press in, it does 1 wipe of your windshield wipers, and it brings up the windshield wiper icon on your touchscreen, so you can turn it on from there. A full press in will turn on your wipers, and then also engage your wiper fluid so you can clean your windshield. And the right stalk basically will control the gears. So to change the gears, first you press the brake, and then you can go all the way up and puts it in reverse. You can go all the way down, puts it into drive, and you can go half press up to go into neutral. And then if you press in on this button here, it puts it into park. So those are the gear controls, and then that also controls autopilot, which we'll show in the driving section. And here are the 2 scroll wheel buttons on the steering wheel, which pretty much do a lot actually, because you can scroll these up and down, you can press them left or right, and you can press them in. So let's go over the functions about that. So the left scroll wheel pretty much controls your audio. So when you scroll the button up, it turns your volume up, and then scroll down turns the volume down. And if you press in on the left scroll wheel, if you just press it in once, it's a play pause button for your music. And then also if you press the scroll wheel right, it will go forward to the next song on your audio playback. And then of course the same thing for if you press it to the left, it will go to the previous song. And the right scroll wheel is pretty much dedicated to autopilot controls when you're driving, which we'll go over later, but you also can use it for voice command. So if you press it once, it activates the voice command. So sometimes you'll need to reboot the car or the touchscreen. So to do that, you hold down the scroll buttons, both of them at the same time, press and hold for a few seconds, and the display will reboot. And to adjust the seat position, you have controls down here at the bottom of your seat, and you can do it at an angle. So you can go down or up on the front, you can go down or up on the back, raise the height. You can, of course, do the angle of the back of the seat. And then you have your lumbar support here. And the only thing is, remember, is that this lumbar support is the only one that doesn't get saved to the profile. So all these you can set and save it to your profile, and it will save your settings, but the lumbar support does not save. So you want to keep that in mind. And then, of course, last but not least, we have the hazard light button up here along with the dome light buttons. If there's one thing that you want to master in a Tesla, it's the touchscreen, because it pretty much controls everything about the car. So the left-hand side will always be here, this little sidebar. Gives you the most important controls of the car, and it gives you your driver visualizations. And then the rest of the screen is pretty much mostly made up of maps and GPS while you're driving. At the top, it gives you your gear controls. I'm currently in park. This will also be where you'll see your speed. And then right below that, you have your battery percentage remaining. So I leave mine on estimated mileage. You can also change that to percentage. But here's a quick little tip. If you tap on that battery, it brings up your charging menu. So not many people know that, because there are different ways to get in the charging menu. You can actually click on this little lightning bolt down here. So this lightning bolt brings up the charging menu, same. Now below that, this is your main car. You'll always see the car in this little section here. And while the car is parked, this opens the front trunk. So if you click on that, it'll unlatch the front trunk. And then right here, same as the same for the trunk. And if you press this little charging icon right here, it opens the charge port door. So I can click on that and it shows charge port open. And now I can just click close again. Right here, this is the backup camera. So if you tap on that, it quickly brings up your backup camera. And then you can tap on this arrow to bring up the rear side cameras. And then you can close on that. And if you tap on that, you can close it as well. So you can close things by tapping on the icon again, or tapping the little X icon. And then right here, this is the voice icon, voice command icon. So instead of pressing in on the right scroll wheel, you can also press it from the touchscreen. It does the same thing. It just brings up the voice command. The voice commands are really cool. You'll be surprised at some of the things that you can do. So just play around with it. If you hit the voice command and tell it to do something, it will probably be able to do it. Even open the glove box, it does things like that. So it's really cool. And the very last button is the windshield wiper icon. So if you tap on that, it brings up your windshield wiper window, and you can tap on that to turn on the wipers. And you can set your speed from here, or you can leave it on auto, and auto will automatically sense rain and know when it's raining. And if you swipe left or right, on the bottom half, it brings up these cards and it gives you information. So if you swipe to the right, it gives you your driving information for your trips. So it shows you your stats for your watt hours per mile based on your last charge, or based on your last time you put it into drive. And then also you can set these, customize these, and start these at certain times. So if you want to do a certain odometer trip. And then of course I have the lifetime watt hours per mile and the lifetime mileage. And if you swipe to the left, it gives you your tire pressure information. Now let's talk about the top menu bar here, because this gives you a lot of different functions as well. You've got the lock icon here, so you can quickly lock and unlock your car doors. Here is the time and temperature. And here's a little tip. If you tap on the time, it brings up your calendar, because you can set your Tesla to sync to your calendar on your phone. And what's really cool is that, like, if you have a meeting, it'll actually give you directions directly to wherever you need to go based on what your calendar says, which is really cool. Here, the Tesla T logo, this brings up your VIN number, your mileage, and it gives you a quick way to contact Tesla roadside assistance. And then you can go directly to the owner's manual with that link to the owner's manual there. So in case you forget any of this stuff, you can go at any time and look into the manual on how to do something, which is really cool. And then last but not least, you can rename your car up here at the top. So my car's name is Red Ranger, and you can change your name anytime by clicking on that up at the top. Now right here, this little icon is the driver profiles. So you can see it says my name. If you tap on that, it shows you the different driver profiles along with valet mode. And then you can tap to go into the driver profiles menu and add a new driver if you need to. You can delete current drivers. And what this does is when you create a driver profile, it saves the various different settings, especially the seat and steering wheel position and mirror position. So if I go to my wife's, this is my wife's driver profile, it automatically changes my seat and my steering wheel position and my mirrors to her liking. That's what she saved. And it also changes the climate control. Now directly next to the driver profile is the Sentry Mode icon. And Sentry Mode is basically Tesla's security surveillance for the car itself, using the 8 cameras around the car. For the older models, you have to insert a USB stick, but for the newer models, the 2021 models and beyond, Tesla should have the USB drive already in the glove box area. So either way, what it does is it will automatically record footage of any movement detection that it sees around the car. If you're out parked and you park your car and you leave it and go somewhere, Sentry mode will automatically be on, and you can tell it's on. It's got the red icon, and you can turn it off just by tapping it. It will automatically detect motion and record footage of people walking around. And then when I get back in my car, I can actually tap on the dash cam icon, which is right next to it right there. It gives you your launch viewer option and save footage. So what it does, you can launch viewer, and from here, you can view the dash cam. So the dash cam footage is what it records when you're driving. And then also you can view the Sentry mode footage, which is the footage that it detects while the car is parked. So if you want to see all the Sentry footage that it's captured of people moving around the car, here's me right here, I'm filming. So it captured that and recorded it onto the flash drive, and you can switch between different views. This is HomeLink if you have a HomeLink for your garage opener. This is the LTE signal and how you can connect to Wi-Fi. So if you tap on that, you can actually connect your car to your home Wi-Fi network, for example, and download software updates faster that way. If you tap on the Bluetooth icon, it brings up the Bluetooth menu where you can actually pair your phone. And the rest of these controls on the main screen are related to GPS and maps and navigation. So of course the navigate button, you tap on that and you can enter any address in here, and it will go directly to that using Google Maps. And then you can save your home and work under favorites, your work address and your home address, to quickly go back and forth between them. And then you have your favorites. And then if you tap on the screen, you can see where it hides some of these controls right over here. So if we bring up this is the zoom out and zoom in functions. And you can also use this as you would like an iPad or an iPhone or any type of tablet. So very intuitive, very responsive. I love this touchscreen. And then down here is the quick controls for if you want to change the view of the satellite maps. You can go to normal map mode. I like to keep mine on the satellite view to where I can see the green trees and all that good stuff. The traffic control icon gives you live visualizations of traffic. Orange is light traffic, red is pretty heavy traffic. You have your charging button down here, your supercharger icon. And when you tap on that, it gives you the closest superchargers to you at that time. And here you can see that it's defaulted to fast superchargers, only Tesla superchargers with this. If you tap on this single lightning bolt icon, it will actually show you non-Tesla superchargers, which are slower. But in case you need that in emergency situations, you can enable that view and find your nearest public EV charger. And if you tap on any of these results, it's just a quick way to go directly to the nearest supercharger, and it gives you real-time navigation. Now, when a destination is entered into the navigation, this is where it gives you your turn-by-turn directions, and you can tap on this top direction to give a bird's eye view and go back and forth. And you can scroll and see the next steps, and it gives you your destination, and it shows you how much percentage of your battery that it's going to estimate that you'll have remaining when you reach your destination. It also gives you a little round trip estimate back. So if you were going round trip from this location, round trip to your destination and back, it shows you an estimate of what your battery remaining would be, which is really helpful. And it shows you the exact mileage you're traveling on this trip, 9.8 miles. It shows you the estimated time that it takes, and it shows your estimated arrival time. Those are very accurate. And then you have your gear settings. You can change various options for navigation. So you can turn on automatic navigation, which will automatically navigate to home or work when you enter the car. It has trip planner that you can turn on or off. So by default, it turns on. And what that does is if you're going on a long road trip, it automatically gives you it puts in the stops at the supercharger stations that you need to stop at to charge your car. It's seamless, it's really good, it works really well. And then of course you can change your online routing options. You can choose to avoid ferries, avoid tolls, and use HOV lanes all from that menu. And then here, if you don't want to hear the navigation voice, you can tap on that to mute that, and then you can untap it, and this controls the volume of the navigation voice. That's basically the navigation options, and you can cancel from here. And now let's go over the bottom menu bar, because this controls a lot of the most important functions as well. The first driver car icon gives you important controls, and it has these different sections on the left-hand side. By default, it starts at quick controls. You have your exterior lights functions. You can turn on your front fog lights. You can adjust your steering wheel and your mirrors by tapping on this and using the left scroll wheel. It's really cool, it's really intuitive. You can see where you can save that to your driver profile. so I can adjust my mirrors and then save it. And if I don't want to save any of the changes I made, I can just tap on my profile and hit restore. And you can do the same thing with the steering wheel, change the position of the steering wheel using your left scroll wheel. You can fold your mirrors, you can do Windows lock, turn off auto screen brightness, make it brighter if you want here. So those are the quick controls. You can go to lights, where it gives you more in-depth options of controlling the lights. You can turn on and off the ambient lights. The dome lights have it auto. You can change these to auto high beam, so auto will automatically turn on your bright lights when it doesn't detect cars, and it will turn them off when it detects oncoming cars at night. You can turn on headlights after exit, a bunch of different light options. You have your lock, so this is where you can set up your phone key. Here it shows you the different car phone keys that are set up for my car. I have the 2 key cards, and then I have my phone and my wife's phone, and it shows you what type of device it is. It tells you what driver profile it's tied to, which is really cool, and it shows you the last time it was used. And if you want to add a phone, just hit that plus button, and then you can add a phone key from here using your Tesla app. And if you scroll down, it gives you more lock options. So I have this turned on, which is a walk-away door lock. Of course, this is will automatically lock the car when you walk away, which I showed you earlier. And you can exclude it if you're at home, because it knows what your home location is if you have that saved in your favorites. And then you have this set to unlock on park. And then here is where you get notifications on your app if you leave doors and windows open. So that's really helpful as well. Here's the display, and you can change this from night mode to daylight mode if you want, or just leave it on auto, which will automatically change depending on when the sun sets around you. I leave it on auto. And then you can change your language, your different format for your miles. This is where you can change your estimated mileage remaining to percentage or distance, and that's estimated, of course. So I leave mine on distance. Driving, I always leave mine on standard for everything. You could change to chill, which gives you a more subtle acceleration mode when you're hitting on that acceleration. So if you have a performance model and you have somebody who's not really used to the quick acceleration, change it to chill mode, and it's more subtle. It doesn't accelerate as fast. And then steering mode, you can change it from comfort, standard, sport. And regen braking is where you can actually lift off the accelerator and the car will actually engage the braking. That's pretty much standard for all EVs. But if you don't like that, if you don't like how abrupt it is, you can change it to low, but you're not going to regain as much mileage back when you're engaging the regen braking. So I leave mine at the standard, so it maximizes the range and increases the energy that's fed back into the battery when the car brakes and comes to a stop. And here, stopping mode is when you are coming to a stop. You can have it hold. So if I let off the accelerator, it will come to a complete stop and actually hold itself. Even when I'm on a hill or any type of decline or incline, it will actually hold itself in place without me having to press the brake at all. Or you can change it to roll or creep, sort of like mimicking a gasoline car. Autopilot gives you your autopilot settings, and we'll talk more about that when we're in the driving section. But here is where you can just kind of customize it and turn certain features on or off. So you can change that to whatever you want. And then navigation, we already went over navigation, but it has an option here as well. Safety and security. If you ever find yourself in a situation where maybe you have to power this off, that's rarely used. I've never actually used this button ever in the entire 2.5+ years that I've owned my Model 3. I've never powered off. It basically is like a phone, and it just goes to sleep mode, and you never really have to power it off. And actually enable speed limit mode if you want to limit certain speeds. If you let somebody else drive the car, you don't want them to drive over a certain speed, you can turn that on. Sentry mode, this controls the Sentry mode, so I had that on, and you can exclude certain favorite addresses. And then here you can have your dash cam, and once you have the USB drive in there, you can format the USB drive from here. Here you can actually enable a pin to drive, so if you want to set a certain 4-digit pin code to drive the car, you can do that, and that way anybody who gets in the car has to know that pin in order to put the car in drive. Same thing with the glove box. You can turn that glove box pin on, and anybody who wants to open the glove box, right now if I click on that glove box button, it's going to ask me the pin number because I have it set. So put the pin, and now it just opened my glove box. Cabin overheat protection is if you don't want the cabin to exceed a certain temperature. If the car is sitting out in very hot weather in the sun in the summertime, you can turn that on and it will kick on AC or the fan if it reaches a certain temperature. And then of course you have your service option here, which you probably really won't get into very much. I've never really had to go into this. And then software is the last one, and this is where you can see what type of software options that you have. I have full self-driving on mine, and then I have premium connectivity as well. And then here you can change your software up preferences to advanced. if you want to receive the software updates as soon as they become available. Yeah, that's the first control on the bottom. Now let's go to the music icon, and this brings up the audio controls. So you can swipe up and down to bring this window pretty much full screen, and you can tap on the music icon as well to quickly hide and bring it back up. And here it gives you your different settings across the bottom. You got your phone, so you can go in here. If my wife was in the car, I could switch to her phone. This next option is streaming, and that's through Slacker Radio. So if you pay for premium connectivity, which is about $10 a month, you'll have this section in here, and you can stream. It uses the data of the LTE connection to stream. It's basically like Pandora. And then if you have Spotify, and I'm already logged in under my account, and it shows you my recently played playlist. And I love this. I love using Spotify, and it's usually, once you're logged in under the Spotify in your car, it uses your car's LTE connection instead of your phone. So if you want to save on your phone's data, you can just use the Spotify. TuneIn is for podcasts. So you can go in here and listen to podcasts. Settings gives you your audio settings. You can change the different bass, the mid, treble. You can change the balance. So if you want to put all the speakers all the way to the front left, you can do it. And then I'll just center it back here. Options. You can turn on immersive sound. You can turn on explicit content, allow mobile control, sources. I only have these 4 selected, so it only shows me these 4. But if I want to see karaoke, I can turn that on, and it adds it to the bottom menu. Same way with radio. And then here is a search button, and you can search pretty much any song or album or artist. The arrow button brings you another list of options that you can choose from. And here it brings up the call icons. So for the phone, it brings up your phone dialer. So you can dial as long as your phone is connected through Bluetooth. We got the calendar, and I've already showed you the calendar, but that's just the other way to get into the calendar from here. The camera icon, I'm not sure why it shows you the camera icon, because we have the camera icon already right here on the driver left-hand side screen. Whatever the last window you bring up on this menu, so for example, calendar, that's the last one I brought up. I can actually swipe up from the little arrow icon, and it brings up the last viewed menu. So camera was the last one. I could swipe up. And then energy. This is cool information because this is more accurate than the estimated mileage remaining. So if you're on a trip, it's a good habit to look at the energy graph to get a more accurate estimation of how many miles you have left on your trip. So that way you can get to your destination with enough range. And it shows you your average range over the last 5, 15, or 30 miles. And then charging, we've already went over this. Here's the web browser. So as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, or if you have pay for the premium connectivity, you can go into the web browser, and this is pretty good web browser for the most part. The web browser works while you're driving, which is interesting to say the least. And then you have your entertainment. These only work if you're parked. But yeah, you can watch Netflix and Hulu and YouTube, and you have your Tesla tutorials right there. You have your arcade. You can play all these games. Which is really cool. I mean, no other car has this type of stuff. Of course, you have to have your own logins, but yeah, I mean, if you're out supercharging and you have to supercharge for 20 minutes, you can just pull up Netflix and watch an episode of something. Toy Box is the last one, and this is just fun stuff. You got Santa, you got Rainbow Road, and of course, you got your fart whoopee cushion. You can. So these icons are the seat icons, and you can see it has one on either side. This controls the seat heater for the driver's seat, and this controls the seat heater for the passenger seat. And when you tap on it once, it puts it on full blast, and you can keep tapping on it to lower it all the way. You have 3 different settings. This fan icon brings up the climate control, and this basically controls the air conditioning and the heat. And you can set your temperature from here, turn it up and down, and you can actually slide back and forth to adjust the temperature, and you can slide it from right here. And then if you tap the sync icon, you can actually change the two different temperatures for the passenger and the driver. And the climate control has some really interesting functions. For example, you basically have to use the touchscreen to change the positions of the fan. So right here is where you can just move around the position of the fan of the airflow. You can split it off into 2 different directions. You can just make it go high, make it go low. Here is where you can turn off and on the AC part. You can turn the fan speed up and down from here. You can turn recirculation on or off right here. And here, this controls the rear facing fans back in the back. And here you have 3 different options to change the control of the air. And then you can turn on auto if you want, and it goes completely to auto. I leave it on manual. And then here, this little option down here is the seat heaters for the entire car. So if you want to control the seat heaters in the back, that's how you'll do it from this screen right here, and you can do it from the front. And then you can just do all off, and you can hold down on the fan, quickly turn it on, hold it down again, quickly turn it off. And then this is the defrost and defog option. So if you tap it once, it goes into defog, tap it again, goes into defrost. And then of course, this is the rear window defroster. Volume control, so you can slide that back and forth. You can just do incremental, tap on the left and right, slide that back and forth. And as you can see, there's a lot of settings that goes into it. You can really drill down, but it's a good idea to know just where things are located and how to quickly adjust the most frequent controls that you need as a driver to stay safe and not have to look and bury and dig into the touchscreen while you're driving. Now let's quickly go over the Tesla mobile app, because this is a big part of owning the car, because Teslas have built-in LTE signal and are constantly connected to the internet. So you can pretty much control your car from wherever, as long as you have internet access for the car and your phone. So if you open up the Tesla app, we'll go over some things that you can do with the Tesla app. Let's start at the top left with the settings icon. So if you go into here, you can see your inbox, and this is just shows you messages from Tesla that they'll send you from time to time. If you go to your loot box, this is the referral program. So if you're not familiar with that, if you're a Tesla owner, you'll get your own custom referral link that you can share with others. And if you refer other people to buy Teslas through your custom link down here at the bottom, you will get free supercharging, 1,000 miles of free supercharging, and they will get 1,000 miles of free supercharging, but you will also get a chance to win a free Tesla. So that's really cool. I have a ton of miles in here. I have 1.6 million miles. So I need to get a lot of driving done in the next 2.5 years. So hopefully I can get that done and maybe do some cross-country road trips or something. Here is your account, and in here it just gives you a few different options. You can watch video guides, change your contact information, or get support. And then here is your notifications, where you can control what type of notifications you want to get on your phone based on what type of events that are happening with your car. So you can check next to whatever notifications you want to receive. And then Face ID will allow you to enable remote keyless driving, which we'll show you in just a second. And then Calendar Sync will sync your calendar to your car. So let's go back in here. So here's the home page, and here you'll just see an icon of your car. It'll tell you if it's parked or if it's driving. It'll tell you actually the speed limit of what it's driving. If it is driving, being driven by someone, it shows you the name of the car and then also your estimated mileage of your battery level. And then here you can quickly turn on your climate control on or off using this button right here. Pop your frunk with this button right here, and then lock or unlock your car from this button right here. Here it shows you the status of your phone key, if it's disconnected or connected. For it to be connected, it needs to be within Bluetooth proximity. Climate will show you the interior temperature range right here, and you can go in here and actually turn on the climate control. So you can set the temperature by turning that up or down and automatically turn it on. And from here, you can actually turn on the seat heaters as well from here. And you can also turn on your defroster there at the bottom right. And then if you go into controls, you have various different controls here. You can vent all your windows. This is very helpful in the summertime. I like to just vent all my windows, and it will crack all 4 windows at once automatically. And you can hit that and it does it. And keep in mind, this is using the internet to do this. So you can be hundreds of thousands of miles away and still do this as long as your car has internet connectivity. So we're going to close those, and it'll automatically close those windows. You can lock or unlock the car, flash your lights, honk, pop the frunk and the trunk, and then you have the start button, which lets someone drive your Tesla. It gives you 2 minutes for somebody to get in and drive your Tesla. This is helpful if you are on vacation or you're away from your car and you need somebody to move it, like a neighbor or somebody that you trust. As if they don't have a key, you can just enable from here, and it will let somebody get in and move the car and start driving it without any key. So use that at your own discretion. And then you got valet mode, which if you enable that, it limits the speed and also limits the power. Here you can enable Sentry mode, turn it on and off. And then you have speed limit mode, which will set speed limit. And then you have your charging section. And here you can see the estimated miles remaining, your battery charge level. You can move this back and forth, left and right, to change the limit of your battery. So I have mine set to 80%. You can open the charge port. And then this list gives you the closest superchargers to you. And it also shows you the amount of stalls that are available at that supercharger. And if you tap on these, it'll send that address directly to your Tesla. So when you get into it, it'll automatically have the directions in the GPS ready to go to that location, which is really cool. And then you also have your nearby destination charging, which is slower than superchargers, but it's very helpful in case these are closer to you than these superchargers. So you can go to those as well. Then you have your location. This just shows you the precise location of your car. So if you forget where you parked, that's really helpful as well. You can see where your car is at all times. You have summon. So if you have full self-driving or enhanced autopilot, this lets you remotely control your car without anybody in it. And you can go forward or backwards. It's a really cool party trick. I usually don't use it that often just for myself. Down here, you got your upgrades button. If you want to go in here and purchase full self-driving, for example, you can do it right from this section of your app. And you can see that I've already purchased full self-driving, and you can view the invoice. So that's cool. And then you have service. So here is where you'll schedule any type of service or maintenance for your car. And it gives you a history of your previous service visits. And what's really cool is that, like with Tesla, almost all of your service appointments could be mobile service, which means you don't have to take your car in at all. The mobile service ranger will come to your location. So as you can see, each time the mobile service has come to my location, and I've never had to go in for service. The only time I had to go in was for my 2-year annual maintenance checkup. So that's really cool. You can do it all from here and schedule it. And then the last button is the roadside assistance. So in case you break down anywhere, you can go in here and contact Tesla's roadside assistance, and they will help you out. So that's a basic overview of what you can do with the Tesla mobile app. Now, one of the biggest reasons I bought a Tesla was because of the Tesla Supercharger network. High-speed, fast-charging infrastructure that allows you to charge your Tesla exponentially fast on a road trip, so you can be done in 15 minutes or so sometimes. The Tesla touchscreen will tell you exactly where you need to stop at a supercharger station, and you just pull up, you back in, you take the cable out, plug it in, and then you can check your Tesla touchscreen for the charging settings. So if you open up the charging icon here, you can set your limit. And usually when you're on a road trip, it'll tell you how long you really need to supercharge in order to maximize your supercharger stops and make them the most efficient and not have to wait so long at each stop. Because the way these are designed is the lower your battery is when you arrive and start charging at a supercharger, the faster the charge is going to be. So if I arrived closer to 0%, I'm going to get a huge boost of speed for the first 0 to 70% or so. If you want to charge past 80% on a supercharger, the last 20% is going to take just as long as the previous 50 or 60. That's because they want you to not stay at a supercharger and charge fully to give other people time to charge. And the way they've placed the superchargers, you can usually charge up to 80% and be okay to reach your next supercharger stop. So, and here you can see the speed of the supercharger. So I'm getting about 68 miles of range per hour of charge on average. So, and I've added 5 miles of range during the stop so far. And so if I go to change it to 100%, it's going to give me my estimated time remaining. So 30 minutes left to charge the remaining 20% of the battery. So, and here at the bottom, it shows you the estimated amount charged to your account during this supercharger session. And Tesla automatically charges your credit card that's tied to your Tesla account. So there's no swiping of credit cards. There's no paying. It's automatically charged to your Tesla account because you have a credit card tied to your Tesla account, which is really convenient, really seamless. And supercharging is only designed for road trips. The majority of the time, the lifetime ownership of a Tesla, you're going to be charging at home for home charging. That is the most convenient way to do it. Tesla recommends 2 options to charge at home. Every Tesla comes with a mobile connector. It is a 20-foot long cable, and you can charge on a normal outlet. And that gives you a very slow trickle charge, about 5 miles of range per hour of charge. So most people want to upgrade their home charging. So Tesla recommends getting a wall connector, which will cost some money to install, but that is the most convenient way according to Tesla. However, I chose to get the NEMA 1450 outlet installed in my garage, and that gives me about 30 miles of range per hour of charge. So I can fully charge theoretically from 0 to 100% in about 10 hours overnight on my NEMA 1450. And it's basically just a 240 outlet. And I just use the mobile connector to charge at home with the NEMA 1450 adapter that you can buy for about $30 from Tesla. So either way, those are good options to charge at home to give you a faster charge. Or if you don't need that faster charge, if you don't drive that much, you can still use the normal 110 outlet that gives you about 4 to 5 miles of range per hour of charge. So you'll basically get about 50 to 60 miles of range added back to the battery in about 12 hours of charging overnight. You can set your limit. So for example, if you are charging at home, you are going to want to charge to up to 90% daily. So once you get home for the day, you plug up your charging cable, and what this does, it will charge and automatically stop at whatever limit that you set. And you can set this to whatever you want. If you're going on a trip, of course, you can slide it all the way to 100% and it will charge to 100%. But I leave mine on 80% for daily driving. That's just what I prefer to leave it at, because I believe that will maximize the longevity of the battery, because I plan to keep my car for a very long time. And right here, when it's charging, this shows you your charge current. And one of the best things about owning a Tesla is that you can configure it to smartly schedule your charging to end at a certain time or start at a certain time. So if you know that you leave every weekday at the same time at 8 a.m., you can set this to where this will start charging at the perfect time to where it will end the charging as soon as you need to leave. What that does is it warms up the battery and it optimizes your charging, especially if you live in an area where the charging and electricity is cheaper at night. So that's Tesla's own way of smartly scheduling the charging, and you can also change it to start charging at a certain time instead of, if you don't want to set, if you leave at different times during the morning, you can just set it to a certain time to start charging every single night. So yeah, that's a great way to smartly optimize your battery charging. And to remove the charging cable from the port, you just press the button on the charging cable until the Tesla T goes white, and then you can remove the cable. So now we are at the best thing about owning a Tesla, and that's actually driving it or letting it drive you. So let's take a look at the basics of how to drive this thing. So when you get in the car, this stays on at all times. Like I said, you don't really have to power it off. It sort of just goes to sleep mode when it's charging, and then when you get in, it's automatically on, and and it's ready to go. So the only thing you have to do is press the brake, go all the way up into reverse, brings up the camera, and you can go back into drive without hitting the brake. As long as you're under 5 miles an hour, you can do that back and forth between reverse and drive, which is really cool. Here we got the speedometer, and it shows you your car here, the visualization of the car. And you got live maps. So here, if you tap on this, it's going to give you it switches back and forth between north and then point of view. And I'll show you some of the things on the screen here. You can see this little blue snowflake. That means the battery is cold. That will go away after you drive for a while, once the battery warms up. That just happens in the winter time. And so you can see that it kind of disappeared there for a second. And if you're wondering about this is my little magnetic phone mount that I attach to the side, so that sometimes I like to use Waze, Waze navigation instead of Google Maps. So I just put that right there. Yeah, I'll leave a link to that in the description below if you want to check that out. It's pretty helpful. And then of course I got my little handy dandy radar detector, wireless radar detector. I'll leave a link to that as well. Now when you're driving the Tesla for the first time, the biggest thing you'll probably notice if you're coming from a gas car is the regenerative braking. And that means when you let off the accelerator in a Tesla, it starts to brake. It's pretty abrupt if you're not used to it, and it will also come to a complete stop. It's called one pedal driving, and that means you can basically drive around the majority of the time just by using the accelerator pedal because of regenerative braking, meaning it will automatically brake by itself when you let off the accelerator. And when you do that, if you look at the screen here, when you let off the accelerator, it turns green and shoots that way. It turns green, the green bar. That means it feeds back a little bit of energy into the battery. So that's what the green bar means. Now, if you hit the accelerator, and I'll do it right now. Ooh, when you hit the accelerator, you see the bar jump up. You see the black bar jumps up to the right. That means you're using a lot of energy. That's the thing to keep in mind when you're driving. You can see the green bar as it regenerative brakes and gets some of the more energy put back into the battery, and then you can see how much energy you're using, the spike levels of energy when you accelerate. Now we're on the highway, and I'm going to show you the bread and butter of a Tesla, and that's autopilot. So all Teslas come with standard autopilot now, and then you can also purchase full self-driving afterwards. But basically autopilot will keep your speed, and it will slow down based on the car in front of you, and also keep within the lane as well. So we're going to enable it. So now we see that the gray little steering wheel icon is right here. So that means we can enable autopilot on this road, and we'll just do a double tap down on the right stalk. Double tap down on the right stalk, and now autopilot is enabled. And the way you know is that that icon has turned blue now. And here is your speed limit. So your speed limit is set on autopilot, and that's max. So basically what that means is it'll go 61 miles an hour maximum, but it will also slow down if it needs to. And then when it speeds back up, it'll go to this maximum you set. So I can set this to higher, and the way we do that is you can of course press the plus and minus on the touchscreen, which I wouldn't recommend. I never ever do that, because the easiest way is to use the right scroll wheel button. If you scroll it up once, one at a time, in increments, it goes up 1 mile an hour increments, and then same down. So you can scroll it down, but the easiest and most convenient thing is to scroll it quickly. And when you do a quick scroll, it just does 5 mile an hour increments. So I can quick scroll up, and it goes up by 5 mile an hour. Quick scroll down, it goes down by 5 miles an hour. So I use that all the time. And the funny thing is that wasn't actually a thing. When I got my Tesla, they had not set that as a feature, and that came as a software update feature later on, where they made this right scroll wheel tied to autopilot. So that's really cool that was added, and the car constantly gets better through software updates. Now, when I'm on autopilot, if you have full self-driving, which I do, it'll do automatic lane changes. So as long as autopilot's enabled, I can tap down on the turn signal here, and it does a quick lane change. It uses those cameras all around it to know what's around it. So it knew that nobody was in the left-hand lane, and it got over really quickly, pretty much instantaneously. You always want to keep a hand on the wheel at all times with autopilot. It's still not full autonomous self-driving, so you're still ultimately in control and responsible for the vehicle. It will pop up and flash you an alert if you don't have your hand on the wheel on. So right there it says apply slight turning force to steering wheel, and it'll start flashing blue, and you'll have a few seconds to do it. So you just put a hand on the wheel, and now we're good. So what I usually do, I honestly just leave one hand on either side of the wheel here, and this is good enough for autopilot. As long as I got my hand on the wheel here, it should not alert me, and it'll detect that I am still in control and paying attention with my hand on the wheel. The right scroll wheel also can be clicked left and right, and that controls the car length distance of the distance between the car in front of you. So if you go all the way to the right, it's the closest distance that you get when you're following a car, and then you can go all the way to the left to setting 7, and it'll leave a huge space in between the car in front of you. So I usually set mine to setting 2, and that gives me enough buffer from the car in front of me that I'm not too worried about it, but it also doesn't give a huge amount of space for people to just constantly overtake you. So I just leave that on setting 2. Now you'll notice here in just a second, right there, it just said auto steer speed restricted to 60 miles an hour. And what that means is that on this particular road, it now converted to no barrier in between the 2-lane highways, so it restricts you to 5 miles an hour over the speed limit on autopilot. However, if you'd like to go faster than that, you can't on autopilot. So if I try to go faster, it says auto steer speed restricted. Well, I can just disable autopilot. There's a few different ways to disable autopilot. You can hit the brake, you can nudge the wheel enough, you can turn the steering wheel hard enough and it'll disengage it, or you can just simply tap up on the right stalk. All of those will disengage autopilot. And now I'm driving again. So I'm going to show you traffic aware cruise control. So this not only just has autopilot, but you can actually put it on cruise control that will keep maintaining your speed and will brake for cars in front of it. It just won't keep the lane. So, but it will let you go higher than the speed limit. So it limited me on autopilot, but now if I just do one tap down on the right stalk, it enables traffic aware cruise control, and you can tell that traffic aware cruise control is enabled by the circle here around the max speed limit. Now it's traffic aware cruise control, and it'll actually come to a stop, but it just won't maintain the lanes. So I'm going to enable autopilot again by double tapping down, and now autopilot's in control. And I'm going to show you a setting under autopilot. If you go down here, you can set a relative speed limit offset. So for example, I have mine set to offset 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. And what that means, whatever speed limit zone I'm in, if I enable autopilot or traffic aware cruise control, it'll automatically set my max speed to 5 miles over that speed limit. So you don't really have to think about it. It just automatically sets it for you, which is really cool. And you can see from the visualizations, it detects other cars. So it detects this truck right in front of me. Let's go ahead and pass this truck and see what it looks like as I pass it. And you can actually tap on your accelerator while autopilot is enabled, but it'll give you a little error saying it won't brake automatically. So you can see I'm passing the truck and it's showing it on the screen there. And of course you have this big map navigation area where you see your turn-by-turn directions and see exactly where you are and see what's around you. One of the best things about having this touchscreen is this map navigation area. And you'll notice on my touchscreen, I got these little dots on my bar where the regenerative braking happens. That's because the regenerative braking is not going to be fully maximized because my battery is still cold. You'll see this a lot in colder climates in the wintertime. That means the regen braking can't go past a certain point, and it's not going to be as powerful. It's not going to feed as much energy back to the battery because the battery is too cold. And once the battery warms up, it takes a while, but once it's warmed up, those dots will go away and you'll have full regen braking back. So now that I'm on the highway, there's one more thing I need to show you, and that's navigate on autopilot, which is one of the best features about having autopilot on highways, on trips. So if you have a destination entered into the navigation here, so let's go to the supercharger in Louisville. Okay, here's the navigation. Navigate on autopilot automatically is enabled because I am on autopilot right now. I'm on a highway, and what that does, it will basically pass people by itself. It'll merge by itself. It'll take exits by itself. It'll enable the turn signal when it's merging and do pretty much everything that you need. And all you got to do is just sit back and relax. It's automatically enabling my turn signal, engaging my turn signal. It's doing the lane change by itself, and it turned the turn signal off and I'm in the fast lane passing people. And it'll, once it passes these people, it'll do the exact same thing. It'll turn my turn signal on by itself. It'll go in the other lane by itself and get back in the normal slow lane all by itself. And then it will also take the exit that it needs to take up here. This car is just constantly getting better. It's so much fun to drive. Don't get too crazy because you can really get up to a fast speed very easily, very quickly without realizing it, because this car is so quick, it's so quiet. But yeah, it's just, driving it is one of the most fun things you'll ever do. So let's try to do the auto park. Half the time it doesn't really want to pop up. Hit this park button and shift to reverse and hit start. It's going to try to parallel park automatically. And I tell you what, it does a heck of a better job than I do. I mean, you leave it up to me to parallel park and I will curb rash my wheels, and I've already done all 4 of my wheels, I think. So the biggest hurdle, I think, with auto park is trying to get it to pop up. You know, so sometimes it just doesn't even want to pop up the option, but when it does pop up, it works flawlessly and it parallel parked perfectly. So that wraps up my ultimate Tesla owner's guide for Model 3 and Model Y going into 2021. I hope this helped you out. If you stuck around this long, congratulations, that's very impressive. Thank you for watching. For more Tesla videos and tech videos, make sure you subscribe to this channel, give this a like, and share it with somebody who you think would benefit from it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one. Thanks to Omaze for sponsoring today's video. Visit omaze.com/AndySlide to learn more.